Dragonite, the OG Dragon-type Pokemon and the only other Pokemon to be tied with Mew for second highest base stat total. I'm sure a lot of you remember struggling against Lance for the first time against his Dragonite in Gen 1, or his 3 Dragonites in Gen 2, or you remember smothering him with Ice Beams. Either way, we all remember Dragonite as one of the first powerhouses to be introduced to us, but how good was it actually? Let's find out. In this video, I will be covering Nintendo Cup Japan for Gens 1 and 2, Smokin' Singles for Gens 3 to 6. To save time, I will not be going over VGC at all for Dragonite, and the reasons for this are, he was banned in Gen 4 because level 55, and he was completely overshadowed by Hydreigon, Garchomp, and Salamence for Gens 5 and 6. Alright, got all that? Alright, here we go. In Gen 1, Dragonite was, as you would expect, a sweeper. It had the highest attack stat of all the Pokemon at the time with a whopping base 134. It boasted a number of resistances due to it being the only fully evolved dragon type at the time. Unfortunately though, it lacked any reliable stab moves because Dragon Rage was the only dragon type attack at the time and it always did 40 damage. Despite this, Dragonite was still a force to be reckoned with, and everything depicted in the anime was more or less true. Well, sorta. Dragonite's moveset did indeed consist of Hyper Beam just like in the anime, because back in Gen 1, Hyper Beam didn't have to recharge if you ended up getting a kill. Its moveset also consisted of coverage moves such as Thunderbolt, Blizzard, Surf, and since this is Nintendo Cup, Horn Drill. But the biggest surprise, or at least to me, was that Dragonite's main move was Wrap. This is because during Gen 1, moves like Wrap and Fire Spin prevented your opponent from doing a move at all. If Wrap hit, your opponent would be completely immobilized with the exception of being able to switch out. So the idea here is to set up an agility or use other Pokemon on your team to Thunder Wave your opponent because Dragonite's speed isn't the best, then land a Wrap and finish off your opponent with Hyper Beam or a super effective attack. That's right, Gen 1 Dragonite was the Pokemon equivalent to Ice Climbers in Melee. Despite this though, Dragonite wasn't exactly top tier, at least not in this meta. This is because since Dragonite evolves at level 55, using a Dragonite on your team would mean giving up your level 55 slot as the max total level could not exceed 155. Also, since it is 4 times weak to ice types and during this time Blizzard and Ice Beam was incredibly prominent, it may not have been the best idea to use Dragonite. Dragonite can be outsped and paralyzed itself by the likes of Starmie. It can also be 2-hit KO'd by practically any top tier with Blizzard or Ice Beam. And also Gengar, the only ghost Pokemon at the time, can be used to fight Dragonite as it is immune to Wrap and Hyper Beam, and can put it to sleep via Hypnosis. Alright, moving on to Gen 2, Dragonite went up in usage. Although its ability to wrap its opponents to death was taken away, Dragonite could still utilize its diverse move pool to do considerable damage to top threats such as Snorlax and Blissey, thanks to Dynamic Punch, if it doesn't miss of course, as well as Marowak. The irony though is that it knows a lot of good moves except for stab moves. Once again, Dragonite can do a lot of damage but needs support from its team to rack in kills due to lack of stab moves. Also again, since it evolves at level 55, it has to take up a level 55 slot. As such, a more versatile Pokemon that also needs a level 55 spot, being Tyranitar, was used a lot more due to being able to tank more hits and having reliable stab moves in addition to good coverage moves. Alright, Gen 3 Smokin' Singles. Dragonite got a boost to its arsenal with the introduction of Dragon Dance, allowing it to power itself up and hit opponents for a lot of damage. Thanks to its bulk and resistances, it could take non-ice type moves, leaving it time to set up. It used Hidden Power Flying as its stab move because Dragon Claw could not be powered up by Dragon Dance due to all dragon moves being special at the time. It had Earthquake in order to cover a number of other types flying couldn't hit, as well as Thunderbolt for Skarmory or Ice Beam for other dragon types. It could also run other sets, such as Choice Band or Mix Attacker depending on what your team needs. Unfortunately, Dragonite can still be walled by common top tier walls who could take a hit and deal ice damage back. Also, though Dragonite is quite good, Salamence was often picked over it because it was faster and dealt more damage with the addition of having Intimidate to weaken opponents' attacks. Alright, Gen 4. Dragonite got access to Extreme Speed again, which gave it an excellent priority move as well as being able to utilize Dragon Claw and Outrage with its massive attack stat since those moves were made physical. Since Salamence was banned during the time, Dragonite saw way more usage as one of the premier Dragon Dance users in Smokin' OU. It also got access to Roost for more sustain and Draco Meteor if you wanted a mix attacker. Because of this, there were no direct counters, but there were checks, such as Suicune and Cresselia. It really depended on what set it was running to effectively neutralize it, rather than there being a universal counter. It could also be revenge killed by the likes of Weavile or anything fast with ice moves. Alright, Gen 5 singles. Dragonite got even better due to its hidden ability being multiscale. This ability allowed Dragonite to take a lot more hits, since at full health it could only take a quarter of the damage it was hit with. This allowed it to fill almost any role with its diverse move pool, and allowed it to set up for sweeps much easier. Though again, there is no direct counter and Dragonite really needs to be figured out in order to be defeated. Once its multiscale is broken via entry hazards or something else, faster choice scarf Pokemon such as these Pokemon could outspeed it and take out Dragonite with super effective attacks, or it could be revenge killed by things with Ice Shard again. Walls that could take an outrage such as Skarmory or Ferrothorn could wall out physical Dragonite. Again, there are many checks, but Dragonite is so versatile and tanky thanks to multiscale that it requires a number of plays in order to get Dragonite into a bad spot to be KO'd. Alright, Gen 6 singles. Dragonite didn't change much in terms of sets besides maybe the addition of weakness policy in order to combo with multiscale. However, thanks to the introduction of fairy types, Dragonite's dragon moves became a lot safer to switch into. Though this did weaken Dragonite, it was not by any means dropped in usage, as it was still one of the best Dragon Dance users. Oddly enough, the move Fly was added to the mix of moves used by players as it dealt a considerable amount of damage and allowed Dragonite to heal itself more with leftovers, used after a substitute and a Dragon Dance of course. Again, this isn't the only way Dragonite can be played as it had access to so many moves, thus giving it a lot of versatility. However, thanks to fairy types, it could be destroyed by the likes of Sylveon and Azumarill, doing a considerable amount of damage even with multiscale being up. It could also be walled by Pokemon with better sustain or revenge killed by faster Pokemon with ice moves once again. And of course, like with a lot of sweepers, it can be crippled via status. However, despite all this, Dragonite was still very good during this generation. So how good was Dragonite actually? Well, he wasn't OP. To me, when something is actually OP, it is so blatantly overpowered that it appears as if it auto-wins the game for players. As I have previously stated, Dragonite was very versatile and did a lot of damage. However, it was not unstoppable, as it had very exploitable weaknesses like its ice weakness and its speed. The challenge in fighting a Dragonite came from knowing what set it was using and making plays to put it in a bad position in order to take it out. Though that being said, Dragonite was still an incredible Pokemon because if it ever did get set up, it could run train in almost every generation. Well, at least in singles. Now if Dragonite was overpowered, it would at least do something in doubles. Thanks for watching everyone. If you liked the video, be sure to give it a like and comment on what Pokemon you want me to cover next. Peace out everyone.